Good evening, runners, and welcome back to another video from me, That Running Girl. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about Achilles tendonitis, what it is, when to seek professional advice, how to use ice and heat to recover faster, and the type of cross training that you should do if your Achilles tendonitis allows for it. Now, first things first, I think as runners, we all have a tendency to brush an injury off and, brush it under the carpet and just say, oh, I'm not really injured, it's just a little niggle, I can run through it. Realistically, for me, it got to a point where every single run that I was going out for, I was like in mild amounts of pain. On a kind of pain threshold, if 10 was absolute agony, it would only be like maybe a 1 to 4, like rising to 4, like starting on 1-ish and then rising like gradually throughout the run. It was never enough to stop me like bluntly, like any kind of stress fracture or bone injury would during the run or after the run. But yeah, there was a gradual like worsening of the pain as I was running, and it got to a point where it wasn't getting any better. So I just really sensibly for a runner just completely stopped running altogether, did cross training, did some research into it, saw a sports masseur, seeing a physio, and got it sorted. And the reason that I'm making this video is if anyone else is experiencing Achilles tendonitis or thinks that they might either have Achilles tendonitis or Achilles rupture, then I really hope that you get something from this video, because the majority of videos that I upload, the most popular ones have always been injury diagnosis and injury rehabilitation. And I actually had a comment a few years ago from a medical doctor in the US who actually thanked me for doing a number of videos on stress fractures and on different kind of injuries, and he said that they really had helped his patients. So I thought that was really, really nice to hear that kind of feedback, and it just prompted me to make this video. Also, I just think it's really good to be realistic as a runner and just know that, I've had a streak of over 10 years of not being injured, and now that I am injured, I'm like, right, let's treat this really maturely, let's take accountability for the injury, and let's come back stronger and do this properly. Now, it also is quite frustrating for me because it's not a typical overuse running injury. I actually acquired this injury when I fell on my Achilles. So I twisted my ankle when I was in Italy in February on some cobbled stones. So it's not like I had a typical, like a linear injury like build up. It's not like anything like happened like really instantly. And it's not so because I didn't have that kind of, I'm injured and then it got worse and worse and worse. It kind of happened very gradually over about 4 or 5 months. And it got to a point where every single one of my runs, I was in some kind of mild discomfort in my Achilles, which obviously isn't good. So like I said, it only got to the point where I realized I need to do something about this. Maybe about 3 or 4 weeks ago, when I just thought, I don't want to be one of those runners that is always injured and I need to take some action to sort this out. Now, the first thing that I did was I stopped running, and I eventually stopped running completely on my Achilles to give it a proper rest. But until I did that, I actually just reduced my mileage gradually. So I both reduced the distance that I was running, the volume that I was running, and the intensity I was running. So basically anything that I would do that was usually like 10K in training, I would then reduce that to about 3 or 4 miles. So anything, maybe I wanted to do like a 5K as a shakeout run, I just reduced that down to like 1 mile, 1.5 mile. So basically kind of halved everything. And I just used the rule of if it like hurts, then I need to stop doing it. I also sought out a sports massage lady to massage my Achilles. So she basically massaged my Achilles, like either side of the tendon, and that actually helped in my case. I had a lot of scar tissue which formed around where I fell when I injured myself in February. So that broke up the scar tissue and increased blood flow to the area and meant that I was kind of on the way to healing properly. The symptoms of Achilles tendonitis, it's a really difficult one because, like a lot of injuries with running, they all kind of merge into each other. And sometimes you think, oh, is it Achilles tendonitis? Is it an Achilles rupture? Have I broken a bone? Do I have like a hairline stress fracture? They can all be so similar in terms of symptoms. And when you're Googling it, it's really difficult not to just zone in on thinking, oh wow, I've got that symptom, it must be that, or I've got those symptoms, it must be that. So it's really important to seek like a diagnosis from either a doctor or a sports physio, but also just taking the time to really pinpoint it online. If you're looking online and trying to self-diagnose, to really sort of rule out, well, it can't be that because of this, it can't be that because of this. In my scenario, I knew that I had fallen on it in February, so linking that and joining the dots between falling on it and there being scar tissue there with what the massage lady said, it was evident to me that I had done some kind of tendon damage which resulted in Achilles tendonitis. The symptoms of Achilles tendonitis also are pain in the back of the heel when waking up in the morning, so like a stiffness and a heaviness. Also, I found it really difficult, like springing off in my stride pattern. So my general stride rhythm was really compromised when my Achilles tendonitis was really bad. So much so that I would almost like, it felt like I was running with one leg. So I would almost like spring off from like mid-foot on my good leg. And then the Achilles tendonitis foot was literally just like flat on the floor with every step. So it was almost like I didn't have that land and like spring phase from your stride, because if you have Achilles tendonitis, it's very difficult to put like your weight and load down on that midfoot area. So that's another symptom of it. Another thing that I did to help alleviate the pain and free up movement and mobility in the Achilles tendonitis was to use heat and ice at different times. So it sounds really contradictory to use heat and ice, and I found this like quite difficult to get my head around. Like, surely you either use like one or the other, but actually using heat and ice in different scenarios on this injury can be really beneficial to healing. So basically, you're using ice when you have any kind of inflammation to reduce the inflammation and swelling of the area, and using heat will increase blood flow and mobility in the area. So I've been doing that. I've had 2 sports massages now. I'm seeing a physio for an assessment tomorrow. And I also ran a half marathon on Sunday, which when I got a mile into the race, I was thinking, this probably wasn't the right thing to do. But this frustrating thing about Achilles tendonitis is that the symptoms can really kind of come and go. So I had a few test runs in the week when I tested out my Achilles over like 5K, 5 mile, and it felt really good. I felt really confident about putting weight on it. And then the morning of the race came, and because the race was at 8 o'clock in the morning, it almost felt like my Achilles didn't have enough time to actually warm up, because it takes quite a lot of time throughout the day for my Achilles to be like moving around naturally, and if I walk around on it, it really loosens it up. But because the race started at 8 a.m, I didn't have that time to warm up properly. And I'd been using, like Ibuleave, so ibuprofen gel, and I hadn't taken any painkillers, but yeah, I was in like discomfort throughout the race. I did the race, and then I decided, because during the race the pain wasn't getting any worse, so I just decided to jog the entire course, and I didn't think about competition or placing or times or anything. Also, it was one of the hottest days in the UK ever, so I just, like, any kind of thoughts of times or positions were completely out the window. So I finished the race, and then I just said to myself, I'm going to take another week off, and I'm going to review how it is at the end of the week, and I'm going to get a physio appointment on it. And all of those things combined, it's almost like you're covering all bases. So for Achilles tendonitis, the main takeaway is what I did using ice and heat in different scenarios when you need to reduce inflammation and increase blood flow and mobility, seeing a physio and a sports massage professional. So you might have some kind of scar tissue in the area, in which case you need to break that up, because sometimes scar tissue can persist for a number of years, and it can, the longer it goes on, it can be really difficult to break that up and kind of get the Achilles moving naturally again. And just cross train. The cross training I've been doing. So when I go to the gym, I've been doing training on the spinning bike, and I've been doing the elliptical cross trainer, weights, and just general kind of yoga and stretching. I've also been doing swimming, because I love swimming a lot. So I do front crawl because that doesn't hurt my Achilles at all. And also I generally feel, I think I've said this in a number of my injury videos, that I can really sense an injury when I'm in water. There's something about like being in water that makes like the connection of it, just for me, it intensifies the feeling of kind of being aware and having insight of what's going on in your body. So yeah, I've been swimming and getting a really good workout in that way. Anyway, I hope this has really helped people diagnose Achilles tendinitis and discover what I have been doing to heal my injury. I don't feel like I've lost any kind of fitness doing cross training and taking the time off for my body to rest and repair and recover. It's so important to have intuitive training, so training that, you know, feels good so that you can race well, and also in a holistic way, just so that you're always in the kind of prime of your health for your age and, you know, life circumstances and all that kind of thing. Because I'm going to make another video on this, but the same way that people have coined the trend of intuitive eating, I feel like intuitive training in running and intuitive racing is so important as well, to realize that not many of us are elite athletes, and we all have lives outside of running, and to just make sure that running complements life and that it's not taking away from life or subtracting anything from life. It's just such a good way to enjoy your running and not put too much pressure on yourself. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this video. My next video is going to be a bit of a reroute in terms of content, because I'm going to do a video on no shampoo. Hear me out. I've been doing they call it no poo, but I've been doing like a mild no poo for probably about 4 or 5 months. I actually started this when I went on holiday, and I didn't want to wash my hair as much. But yeah, I usually wash my hair about once a week now, and it has grown dramatically, and it's also so much thicker, has more volume, and it just feels so much more resilient and healthy, as opposed to when I would wash it every day, and I'd use heat tools on my hair. I don't use any heat on my hair now, so I don't, like hair dry it or shampoo it or anything, and it just is so much healthier. And I've watched quite a lot of no shampoo videos on YouTube, and I find it quite difficult finding one that actually doesn't, you have to almost skip through to like 7 minutes in until someone's actually telling you the real like advantages of no shampoo and how they did it, rather than just their complete journey, which I know is a bit of a contradiction because I tend to go off on a tangent about things. But yeah, I wanted to share my experience with that, and yeah, I think that's going to be my next video, because I'd quite like to take this channel in a more holistic sense and talk more about my life and experience as a runner, but also just as a vegetarian who has led a relatively healthy lifestyle for 20 years. I think that could really be beneficial to people. So yeah, I hope you're running well. I hope you found this video helpful, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.